and your ego. That's all. That's why so many times the Shaykh will not tell you anything to do. Because if he tells you to do something and you don't do it, or you do it half-heartedly, or you become ghaflat with it, now because he says it to you physically, it becomes an order and you become disobedient, you get a bigger smack. Sometimes, so many times, he doesn't tell you. He may send it to your heart. He may send it through someone else. He may drop hints. He may make it just a suggestion, not as an order. Then that time, you don't get the ego and the shaitan interfering. Because it is not a direct order, shaitan in your ego, say, it's not direct order. Though your spirit can take that and run with it. But you have to be intelligent to know this is what the Shaykh is saying. But when the Shaykh is telling you, do this, that's the time, like what the Holy Prophet ﷺ is saying. If you make the decision and you walk in the way of Allah, every time you want to walk in the way of Allah, to know that there's 70 shaitans waiting for you there to derail you, to make you to take a detour, to put distractions in front of you. You're going in the way of Allah, of course shaitans will not be happy. You think shaitan's going to open the door and says, come your majesty, go in the way of Allah. They're foolish ones, they say, oh, why is it so difficult? Because we are in asfala safilin, that's why it is difficult. But the one who is doing something without the Shaykh saying anything to him, but he knows this is what, number one, is showing that he is observing, being in muraqabah, being in rabita with the Shaykh. He's present, huzur with the Shaykh. Let's not talk about fana. He knows, he understands. So that time he knows what is his Shaykh likes, don't like, things to do, doesn't think to do. He knows. Because he's always observing. He's always in rabita, he's always observing, he's always in muraqabah, he's close. So the Shaykh doesn't have to say anything. The Shaykh will just look at something and then he knows. Because his heart is close. Now this is not physical closeness, this is where the heart is close. And that time if he does it, and sometimes those ones who are close to the Shaykh wants to bring them to a higher level, the Shaykh may even not say anything, not drop any hints. So that one, if he already knows, he must do it. If his heart is already with his Shaykh, he must do it. He doesn't need anyone to remind him. All he needs to do, and this is no mystery, all he needs to do is say, something is like this. Would Shaykh like it or not? Will Shaykh do it like this? Just asking questions. What is that Shaykh asking? Because the Shaykh is representing the Prophet who is representing Allah. So you are training how to have taqwa. You're training how to have everything that you do is pleasing to Allah. Because the Shaykh is teaching you what are the things to do that will please Allah, not to please Him. That will please the Holy Prophet ﷺ, not to please Him. Let me tell you something. Our Shaykh comes sometimes. You see me doing that sometimes, from time to time. You're doing something, you're so busy, and the Shaykh is going to stand and just going to look at you without you noticing. And he's going to see, how aware are you? Everyone thinks they're so spiritual. How aware are you? One time I was cooking in the kitchen. Okay? It was a small kitchen that time. Very small. We are feeding so many people. Now we have such a big kitchen, it's turning into a mess. People are getting spoiled. Used to be, we were washing dishes in the winter time, right over there under where the woman's area is, with the water that comes out. During winter time, the water turns to ice immediately. We were washing dishes. Water was splashing to the beard, and we touch it, it already turned to ice. Now we have water, we have hot water, subhanallah. But are people improving? I was in that kitchen, I was cooking, and you know when you cook, you have to focus. And cooking Sunday, I looked, and Shaykh Effendi was standing there, and then he smiled. I said, if I stand there, he said, for 10 more seconds and you didn't notice me, I was going to put an X on you. This is how the Shaykh can stand there and the murid spirit is not awake enough to understand and to know his presence. And that is the Shaykh's physical presence with his spirit there. What if the Shaykh is not there physically? The murid is going to completely out of sight, out of mind, out of the heart. This is what's happening that we see in so many others, correct? Shaykh is no longer there, out of sight, out of mind, out of the heart. So, sometimes the Shaykh then will just send it to your heart without saying anything. And if you do it, he will pray for you to open more. That time your heart will become more open because you are opening your heart. Because you are not being lazy, you're not being ghaflat, you're not saying what I want to do, you're saying what the Shaykh wants. You're busy with him then. So that time the Shaykh doesn't have to do nothing, doesn't have to say, everything is going to go according to the way. That you have to start from when you're young, yes. The manners has to be there. Or these kids that are sitting down, how old are you? 5 years old. Youngest one, 5, 4. Sitting down, Shaykh Effendi is training. To sit, if we're speaking for 1 hour, they sit quietly for 1 hour. If we speak for 3 hours, they're going to sit for 3 hours. Quietly, not like some. Okay, they're toddlers and everything, they're running around, it's okay. But after they reach a certain age, the murids, they know how to keep. I don't have to yell at them. You ever see me yelling at them? Saying to them, sit down, be quiet, and all this? No, they already know. Their parents are not telling them, smacking them or doing something. One time I went to a masjid. I'm not going to tell which masjid it is, but it's somewhere in northern Manhattan where I used to live. And we were praying. You're smiling, huh? I'm praying. And it was Jummah, and it was summertime, so it's probably a summer counselor. No, Allahu Akbar, that kind of place. And he had little kids, and they were in front of him. I was praying. Imam was saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Imam was reciting, and the kids being kids. And they were not 5 years old, they were 9, 10, 11 years old. And they were joking around, talking to each other. So this counselor, who is beside me, he just broke his prayers. He went in front, he smacked them one time. Then he goes back, he says, Allahu Akbar, and he starts praying. Where is your prayer, and what are you going to teach to that kid now in that situation? You have to really mess up to come to that point where you have to do something to a child that way. How is a child now going to understand Jummah? How is he going to feel about religion in the masjid? So as kids, they are sitting down. You have to start from young. They are looking to you, not enough, because you are not perfect. They're looking to others too. Now these kids, they have 20 uncles and 20 aunts. They're going to look at the Shaykh. And they're going to look at others looking at the Shaykh. They learn the best manners. Then later they can use their intelligence properly. They have more choices. You understand? So you start from young. Once you start from young, then it's going to be a little bit easier. If you start later, it's going to be a little bit harder, but it is not impossible. Because all it depends now is where your heart is. This much is enough. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Okay, you have anything, some tea, something, bring.
What does it mean to contribute to the Dajjalic system and confusion, and how can one protect